Morning, everyone.
Sitter vi rett foran dere, vi? Jeg håper ikke det tapper her.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to see you all here, finally. So my name is Patricia Carbonell, and I'm the head of REVOLVE Mediterranean. We are a communications group based in Barcelona. And I'm also the communications manager of the Green Growth community. We've been on this journey for the past 6 years, and we are happy that today we managed to do this physical event as our final event after this journey. So we have been promoting the uptake of innovative and sustainable solutions across the Mediterranean region, supporting SMEs, supporting also the policy makers as well to take the better informed decisions. And I think we discovered many things over these years. We have created many documentations that you can explore. We have prepared the policy recommendations documents that you can find over there in a table. We have also a catalog of the projects which provide an overview and also the results that we have achieved over these past years. Today we have an opportunity to actually meet these people. We are going to meet the experts who have been involved in the community's projects, and also the regional and European institution representatives that are also involved in the creation of these policies and also that have a role in really driving the business transformation that we need for a circular economy, and also to achieve climate neutrality by 2030, which is our mission. Today, within the framework of the EU Green Week that we are hosting this event, we want to address a key question, which is how we can really achieve the EU Green Deal policies, how can we make them real. So we will be exploring through panel discussions, through keynote interventions, and through interactive sessions, how we can explore different tools, ideas, thoughts that can really contribute to tangible solutions on this. So yeah, we have a long and complex way to really achieve this, but I think with these kind of gatherings and cooperation efforts, we can get there. So yeah, without more hesitation, I would like to play a video that we just released that kind of tries to set the scene of the Green Growth community. We will play it in a second. Before that, I just want to mention that we are live on YouTube for those who couldn't make it today. So we are live streaming on our YouTube channel. We are also sharing it through social media. And you can use the hashtag Final Event GGC, this is Final Event GGC, and hashtag EU Green Week. You can also comment, ask questions, share any ideas, and we can bring it to the event, okay? So you can also jump in and raise your hand and ask questions while we go through the interventions. So we are all set, and I think we can play this video before I give the floor to the first speaker of the day. Thank you.
Transforming our society and economy to become carbon neutral means working together and prioritizing systems innovation. And the Green Growth community is leading this change. The community supports 17 projects to achieve climate neutrality at every step of the value chain by helping stakeholders involved to develop more circular business models and effective policies. The community produced policy reports and white papers tackling circular economy principles, from sustainable design and production to waste management and smarter consumption. In particular, in the agri-food sector, the community is showing how it's possible to develop efficient systems that preserve the environment and provide high-quality food that's both available and affordable. For example, the Aristotle Plus project focuses on innovative production and quality control methodologies for olive oil, which is at the heart of the Mediterranean diet, leading to olive oil with enhanced health protective properties. Another project, HEFMED Plus, is the largest initiative in the Mediterranean that encourages a pool of companies from agri-food regional systems to green their own production according to the new EU Product Environmental Footprint Method, PEF, to assess the environmental performances of a product during its life cycle. The Graspino Plus project encourages public authorities to embrace green solutions in their procurement process. The project has developed a suite of electronic tools to promote greener, more sustainable goods and services in public procurement, especially when it comes to energy efficiency and renewables. There's a growing demand in Europe and in the Mediterranean for products and services that focus on circularity and eco-innovation. The community's projects are key drivers of green jobs, investment and business opportunities across the region, boosting the continent's competitiveness and leadership of the circular transition now and in the decades to come.
We'll hear more of that during today's sessions. And now I'm going to give the floor to Mercè Boy Roura, who is the Green Growth Community Coordinator and the Head of Governance for Sustainability at the PITA Technological Center at the University of Vic. She will be telling us more about the Green Growth Community's contribution to the circular Euro-Mediterranean region.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's very nice to see you again physically after such a long time with online meetings. So a pleasure to have you all here today. And as Patricia mentioned, this is a community that has been working for the last 6 years. We went through 2 different phases and we are finalizing the second phase. So for the ones that still are not familiarized with the Interreg MED Programme covers the whole Euro-Mediterranean region from Portugal to Cyprus, including Western Balkans. And the type of projects they fund, they always encourage that the quadruple helix are present. So it's a characteristic of this program. This program also designed thematic communities, which were created to support the projects under this program in their communication, transferring, and capitalization activities in order to increase their impact at policy and market levels. So what we did in our case, it was to build this community under the topic of green growth to facilitate synergies among the different projects that were under our community. And our aim was to inspire innovative policies and also to inspire innovative green and circular business models for a more competitive Mediterranean and to the end for a more climate neutral region. So through this presentation, I will tell you a little bit the methodology that we use as a organization project in order to start from the creation of the community and to finalize with having an impact at the different levels that we achieve. So after we created this thematic community, we had to look at what projects we had in the community. We included in total 17 projects, but these ones join us at different stages, including more than 165 partners from 13 countries in the Euro-Mediterranean region with a total budget of about 32 million euros. We define ourselves as a community that promotes green and circular economy by enhancing infrastructural practices, innovation practices through an integrated and cross and a territorial-based and cooperation approach. So even though these projects were all under the topic of green growth, they were quite different between each other. So we had to analyze them and we decided to cluster them into 4 focus areas, which are food systems, smart cities, waste management, and eco-innovation. So since then, since the beginning, we organize different activities where our modular projects could interact among each other, but also we invited several external stakeholders that were experts in that field in order to exchange about the practices, the tools that the projects develop, and also to learn about the challenges and to find common solutions. So among them, we organized international events, we attended international fairs, such as Comondo. We also organized different participatory workshops, and when the COVID didn't allow us, we doing them online, and it's what we have been doing mainly for the last 2 years. So it's again very happy to see you all physically here. Another transferring activity that we have been doing in the past months is the launch of the Interreg Euro-MED Programme. This is an initiative that has been performed together with the different thematic communities of the Interreg Euro-MED Programme, because there are 8 of them. And this academy wants to provide tools, space for discussion for different types of stakeholders, especially young leaders and entrepreneurs, in order to learn new practices that they can replicate in their territories to achieve a more sustainable Mediterranean overall. We will tell a bit more about it, but you can enroll it right now if you wish, because the program of our community will start on 23. After doing several events on different topics of focus areas, we saw that we needed to go one step further in order to have a greater input, and that the stakeholders would have more interest in our results. So what we did, it was to study what were the European policies at the moment and relate our work to these policies. So first, we had a focus on the first circular economy action plan, then later on at the European Green Deal. And in fact, what we did is to create a mapping of policies in the Euro-Mediterranean region in the field of greenhouse, especially the development of different circular economy strategies in the different regions of the Mediterranean that you can check in our capitalization platform. So when we decided what policies we will tackle, we designed different thematic groups. So for instance, this was an activity that ran mainly in the first phase of the project, and we created 4 different groups aligned the key priorities of the first circular economy action plan, where the projects could participate and discuss their challenges in that topic and the solutions that they provide. Recently, what we did is to relate all these projects that form the thematic community to the key areas of the European Green Deal, such as the farm to fork strategy or carbon zero pollution strategy. This publication, you can find it linked there for consultation in the table over there, but you can also download it online, of course. And so with these topics, the thematic working groups that allowed us a synthesization of the results of the community and the creation of different policy initiatives, such as potential white papers, policy recommendation, the catalog of knowledge, the policy and reflection paper. They were all designed in a visual way and in an attractive way in order mainly to facilitate the reading, to get the traction of different stakeholders that we could reach after doing an analysis of what were our target groups and stakeholders that we wanted to reach. So we had all the material that synthesized the results of the different projects and the work and the discussions that we collected through the different events. And then we had to sell them, we had to bring them to the stakeholders in order to take them into consideration for the development of new policies and new strategies or the application of results. So I will tell you now some successful stories, let's say it like that, in terms of transferring and mainstreaming of results. of the community, understanding mainstreaming as the process of integrating new knowledge and good practices into regional, national, European, Mediterranean policy-making levels. In order to do that, we follow a methodology for mainstreaming that was established by a project called REVOLVE within the government's platform of the Interreg Euro-MED Programme. And in order to follow the structure that we see on the right side of the slide, we have to identify what levers we could have. So the projects of the community that could provide the tools and the results, the knowledge that they have produced in the past years, and we had to identify some potential takers, some policymakers, for instance, some public administrations that could be interested in adopting these results into their practices and policies. So we did different steps, as you can see now on the left side, such as identification first of the results that have potential of mainstreaming, identifying what regions would be more interested, depending on the development of their circular economy strategies, for instance, and then different meetings and targeted meetings in order to fine-tune and adapt the needs of the public authorities to the results that were available by the model of block projects that could finally make a match between them. So this was the case of the Aragon region. Later on, we will hear more about this because we have a speaker from the region of Aragon, and it's basically that we achieved to match the results from a project that is called Embrace, and it's toolkit, and this toolkit was adopted by the region of Aragon in the development, to support the development and implementation of this circular economy strategy and to support the companies of the territory. Then at another level, we would like to highlight the cooperation we've had with the Union for the Mediterranean for the past years. This collaboration became even stronger when we received the labeling from the Union for the Mediterranean in October 2019, acknowledging our work in the transition to green and circular economy in the Mediterranean region, with a view to transfer and capitalize all the results from this project also to the southern shore of the Mediterranean. I will not get into details because we will also have a speaker in the afternoon, Alexander Sensi from the Union for the Mediterranean, who will explain more in detail what has been our collaboration. But mainly, we got the chance to participate in their working group on environment and climate change, their task force on environment, and maintain a regular policy and technical dialogue, and especially to contribute to the development and also right now to the implementation of the UFM Greener Agenda for 2030. So what an exercise that we did a lot with them is to understand what were their needs at the different times and provide our knowledge within the white papers or adapting some of the results that we already had in order to match their needs, which is very important in that process. To finalize, another collaboration and mainstreaming case that we experienced is the collaboration with the European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform. Before it was more at the Mediterranean level, in this case it's at the European level. For the ones that don't know, it's a joint initiative by the European Commission and the European Economic and Social Committee that brings together different stakeholders and networks of Europe in the field of circular economy. And it provides a space for dialogue, for exchange of practices, and basically to encourage the uptake of circular economy solutions in different territories and at different levels. So Interreg Euro-MED Committee is one of the 24 members of this coordination group. And the work we did together is to participate in different leadership groups. In our case, we participated in 4 of them. This afternoon, we will also have the leader of the cities and region leadership group. And within these groups, several circular talks were organized and reflection papers were produced with the results of these discussions. Among them, we can find again the results of the Interreg MED greenhouse community in that European wide perspective. And that's what we try to do always, is to bring this Mediterranean perspective to the European policies. And this is just a summary of the steps that we follow in order to start from the creation of a community, integrating the different projects, performing different transferring and mainstreaming activities in order to finally achieve some impact at different levels at local, regional, Mediterranean, or European levels. So that's all from my side, and I really hope that you get the chance to know some of the modular projects of our community that will be later on in the panel discussions. Right now, we only have 3 of them active, but all the finalized projects are still present in that room as well, some of them, so I encourage you to get to know and to also discuss about the solutions that they develop within the individual community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mercè. Okay, so welcome. I would like to give the floor to César Luena, Vice Chair, Committee of Environment, Public Health and Food Safety, and member of the European Parliament. Thank you for being with us, and please, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start by thanking the Interreg MED Green-Road community for inviting me to be here today at the final event. The topics discussed today are of great importance because we have all to understand and embrace circularity. The European Union and member states are making efforts to shift their policies and practice towards a more sustainable model of production and consumption. However, we have still a long path to walk, especially when it comes to waste management. The Green Waste Framework Directive, approved in 2018, introduced significant improvements in circular economy terms. To name one, the extending producer responsibility schemes ensure that producers bear the financial responsibility for the management of the waste coming from the products they produce. Another will be the municipal waste recycling targets, 55% by 25, 60 by 30, and 65 by 35. However, it has not been enough, never is enough. In that sense, I'm hopeful that the revision of the Waste Framework Directive announced by the European Commission for 2023 will tackle all the issues and inefficiencies of the current one. This is crucial. In 2019, less than half of municipal waste was recycled in the EU, with some member states recycling only around 10% of it. Half of member states are at risk of not reaching that 2025 target for recycling municipal waste, and part of the problem comes from inefficient waste collection systems that are very different between countries. Therefore, it is important that this new revision uphold the following points. Reinforce the polluter pays principle. Original waste producer must be accountable and pay the cost of waste management. Provide additional guidance by explaining how separate collection of waste can improve reuse and recycling. Improve the application of the waste hierarchy, full implementation of provisions on waste prevention, and improve preparations for reuse and recycling. The work of the European Parliament will start once the European Commission presents a proposal, and we will work hard to make the legislation ambitious. However, the work toward reducing waste starts by changing the way we produce and design. The new Commission proposal for a regulation on eco-design for sustainable products concerns up to 80% of the product life cycle environmental impact. By setting new requirements, products commercialized in the European Union will be more durable and easier to maintain, use, repair, and recycle. Better circularity means greater reduction of waste and of the environmental and carbon footprint of products. The Railways project, implemented by Interreg Euro-MED, is a great example of how to deal with waste management problems, specifically in the agri-food sector. The project is a good example of how to successfully avoid inorganic waste by using limited and simplified packaging, improving logistics, or enhancing cooperation with local actors. Because in the end, consuming less, increasing usability, and correctly managing waste is the only way forward and is beneficial for the environment, households, and national economies. We are progressing too, but much work is yet to be done. I will now give the floor back to the rest of the speakers and wish you a fantastic event. Thank you so much and good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, it's good to highlight these new strategies and how to lead the direction of the EU Waste Framework Directive. And now I would like to give the floor to Maria Rincon Lievana. She's the team leader at Circular Economy, DG Environment at the European Commission. And she will be telling us about the role of the circular economy in making the EU Green Deal real.
Hello, thank you very much. It's very nice to be here back in a physical event. This is the first one I do since COVID happened, so very happy to be here. As Patricia mentioned, I'm going to focus on explaining a little bit what's the role of the circular economy to achieve the objective of the European Green Deal. The European Green Deal was adopted in 2019 with a very clear commitment to make the European Union the first climate neutral continent by 2050. But in that very same paragraph, there's a second line that is sometimes not really taken into account and says that this will be achieved by decoupling economic growth from resource use. And it's here where the circular economy plays a key role. And the European Green Deal introduced it the role of the circular economy as a way to mobilize the industry for a clean, more resource-efficient economy. But we see that it offers a contribution to the rest of the objective of the European Green Deal by contributing to cleaner cycles, ensuring the just transition and social jobs and social economy, and then contribute to all of these goals. The European Commission started the transition to a circular economy in 2015 with the first circular economy action plan that was for sure closing loops, looking at how to integrate recycled material into the economy in a way that was safe, cost efficient, and for that we were looking at actions at the very beginning of the cycle. But it's in this second action plan where we put all the focus on how to make sustainable products. And César was mentioning some of these features, and what I would like to do today is try to focus on what that is happening at this moment, because we adopted the action plan in 2020. Since then, things have been happening, and we are now approaching the midterm of the implementation, and we just presented a key set of proposals that will make this implementation move forward to achieve the objective of the Green Deal and of the action plan. You see in this slide the structure of the action plan. First, the Sustainable Product Policy Framework, that is structured in three angles. Making sustainable products the norm, empowering consumers and public buyers as a way to foster sustainable consumption, and then of course mainstreaming circularity and sustainability in production processes. Many of the projects that I have seen mentioned in the video contribute to this. I've seen those that were working with tools that the European Commission is mobilizing, for instance, the product environmental footprint, but I've heard as well of green carbon procurement. So it's not something that you are not aware of doing already. What the action plan does is to set an agenda for what to scale up your efforts as well. The action plan also identified key value chains where there's potential for circularity and where we need to act to reduce environmental impacts. And then finally, we continue working on waste, building upon the waste framework, the waste framework that was adopted in 2018, but focusing very much in reducing waste, okay, in waste prevention. What has happened since adoption in 2020? First, deliverable of this new action plan was the presentation of a proposal for a new regulatory framework on batteries. This was a quite innovative proposal because it was looking at circularity all over the place. It presented a new framework that looks at the whole life cycle of batteries, all batteries, and then it started with sourcing of raw material, critical raw material, but it introduces as well provisions to ensure to set up a digital product passport for batteries or green public procurement for the purchasing of batteries. Right now, it's in negotiation with the European Parliament and the Council, but it was a little bit a vision of what we wanted to achieve as well for several key value chains. At international level, the European Union has started the work to create or to launch the Global Alliance on Circular Economy and Resource Efficiency. Was launched in February 2021 in the context of UNEA. And right now, I think it gathers around 20 countries. Then I want to focus as well on the third major deliverable of 2021, that was the waste shipment regulation, adopted late that year. It was a key proposal to ensure that the circulation of waste within the EU takes place in a more efficient manner, so boosting the recycling infrastructure and markets for recycled materials within the EU, but also contributes to achieve the European Green Deal commitment to halt and to restrict export of waste to third countries, because this proposal establishes that only waste could be exported to countries outside the OECD when there's notification to the European Commission showing that they can manage this waste in an environmentally sound manner. And then finally, well, another important element at international level, that is a few months ago, in March 2022, there was a meeting again, UNEA 5.2, so the second part of UNEA. And there we got an agreement and a consensus to launch the negotiations for setting up a global agreement to combat plastic pollution. And this will be key because it's looking at plastics, looking at the whole life cycle, not only managing plastic waste, but also promoting sustainable production models and sustainable consumption of plastic. And very briefly, I'm getting into what has happened just now, is the Circular Economy Package adopted in March 2022, which includes 4 key deliverables that are interrelated. One, the major one is the proposal for a regulation on eco-design for sustainable products. Then applying this rationale and this vision, the strategy for sustainable and circular textiles. An update of EU consumer rules to empower consumers for the green transition, and then acting on another key value chain, revision of the construction product regulation, taking upon many of these principles for circularity. And this is the 4 of them are key in the implementation of this idea of this framework that I mentioned at the beginning, that is the Sustainable Product Policy Framework. Looking at product design, at empowering consumers, and then at increasing circularity in production processes. César also mentioned that up to 80% of product environmental food impacts are determined at the design phase. That's why we are acting on making products sustainable since the very beginning, looking at how they can be prepared or how they can be recycled and durable, and how to integrate recycled materials since the very beginning, when we are starting to plan how the products will be produced and put in the market. And for that, we are taking an example, as an example, the Eco-Design Directive. As you know, the Eco-Design Directive was setting market requirements, increasing the energy and material efficiency of products. It was focusing only on energy efficient products. Now what this proposal aims to do is to broaden the scope of this directive. Now it will not focus only on energy related products, it will apply to the broadest range, the broadest range of products. And then it also is broaden the scope of the requirements because it will focus much more on durability, reparability, recyclability, recycled content. How this is going to work out, this is a little bit technical but easy to understand, exactly as the same way the Eco-Design Directive was working. The proposal on the Eco-Design, on the regulation on Eco-Design for sustainable products will be framework legislation that will be implemented product category by product category. After being assessed all the impact and all the necessary studies to act on product specific categories. So what I was mentioning is this slide, you have what is happening, what is changing, and there's a scope of the products that will be covered, an extension of the scope of the requirements, a modification to allow for horizontal, so those requirements that will apply to all products, and then an increased focus on product information. And this is very important because we've seen one of the barriers that hamper the uptake of circularity in products is the lack of information and the lack of flow of information along the value chain. And that is to be addressed with setting up digital product passport and better communicating to consumers with labels. I will leave this slide for you to read at home when you receive the rest of the slides, but it's basically the structure of the proposal with the different articles and a little bit more information on the type of requirements that you will find. The performance requirements and information requirements and how these information requirements will help to build up the digital product passport. And I'm explaining this slide because it will be very important for you to understand how it will work in the case of textiles. So we have the strategy for sustainable and circular textiles that was adopted together with the proposal for the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation. And I don't need to mention here why it's important to act, environmental and social impacts, an stream of waste that is not managed properly at the moment, increase of the consumption of clothing that is not matched with putting in the market textiles that are sustainable, and still a very important economic sector of the EU that had a key role for us to move forward the pandemic. If you remember what I was explaining about product categories and that the fact that the proposal for sustainable product regulation will apply to product categories, this is the case for textiles. The strategy already announces that the Commission will look into developing both performance and information requirements in the design of textiles. This is to come. This is not an action that will be immediate. We need first to have the regulation in place and be adopted by the Council and Parliament. But the plan is to start looking and start working how this implementing measure of the regulation will look like. Then, following on the implementation of the regulation, we will have actions as well to stop the destruction of unsold or returned textiles, actions to address international unintentional release of microplastics, which is textiles. It's one of the key sources. And for that, we will look into design requirements to design out microplastics, but also other actions, and then information requirements I already mentioned, and then tackling greenwashing. Very important, as it was mentioned as well by César, in the context of the revision of the 2023 Waste Framework Directive, the Commission will also assess the possibility of setting up external producer responsibility schemes for textiles. We have one example that is France, but we see more and more that this scheme is being considered by member states. For instance, the Netherlands or Denmark or Sweden are looking into that because there's an obligation to set up a separate collection of textile waste by 2025. This is a set of enabling conditions. This is traditional commission document where you have the key actions and then a set of actions that will help actors in the market and consumers and public authorities at city and regional level to make the actions possible. We have 3 chunks of work. Colleagues are working with industry in the transition pathway of the eco-design of the ecosystem of textiles. Then we have work as well to ensure a level playing field and a well-functioning internal market, because everything that we do at the EU, if we let other countries' products in the market, will reduce the impact. And then actions at a global value chain. So, very briefly now on focusing on how this revision of the consumer law will take place. It's 2 amendments. One of the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive, and then another one, the Consumer Rights Directive. And basically what will happen is two main actions. Consumers have the right to know for how long the product is designed to last. And then they will find actions to act against greenwashing. And it's a revised construction product regulation that, as I was saying, take up the rationale of circularity to ensure that the design and manufacturing of construction products is based on making them circular. And then very briefly to continue, because the implementation of the action plan doesn't finish today. We will have the continuation of the consumer package, that is a legislative proposal on substantiating reclaims. So not only giving the rights to the consumer to tackle and to fight greenwashing, but also ensuring that manufacturers and producers comply with it by introducing an harmonized methodology, most likely or possibly based on the life cycle assessment methodology that you already know, product environmental footprint. Then work continues to make possible that by 2030 we have packaging that is reusable and recyclable via the review of requirements of the Packaging and Packaging Waste Directive, and then actions on plastics. On one hand, to establish a policy framework on bio-based, biodegradable and compostable plastics to set out clearly when these plastics offer a benefit for the environment and to inform consumer how to properly manage the plastic waste that is created, so they don't throw it away in places where it should not go because it doesn't biodegrade. And then measures to reduce the impact of microplastic pollution, unintentional and intentional microplastics. And with this, I think, it was already mentioned, and I want to also highlight that it's not only that this project is offering a key contribution to the platform, is that the platform is for everyone to go, find new practices, new studies, new reports, and to engage in dialogues to make the transition happen, and to boost circular economy in the transition towards climate neutrality. Thank you.
Is there any question from the audience? You want to ask anything to Maria? Now that have it?
Otherwise, my mailbox was in the last slide. So drop me a line and I will reply. Okay.
Thank you so much for this overview. Okay, so we will send a follow-up email with all the presentations, and feel free to also type any questions on social media if you are shy. But yeah, so next section, it's gonna be around moving away from business as usual. So we are gonna deep dive into the actual lessons learned from the modular projects, which are the communities projects. We will start by a keynote from one representative that's been involved in the Embrace project, and it's Miguel Luis Lapeña Cregenzán, the Director General of Planning and Economic Development at the Regional Government of Aragon. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good morning. I am very happy to start in this presentation. The Aragon Circular Economy Strategy. The Aragon Circular es una estrategia liderada por el Gobierno de Aragón. The Vision of Aragon. Spain and Aragon. Aragon is the community here, is the 1% of the superficie of Europe. El Producto Interior Bruto de Aragón es un 3,4% y tenemos una tasa de paro de un 10% frente a un 14,8% de España. The Circular Economy representa en Aragón un 1,94% del Producto Añadido Bruto y un 2,67% del total del empleo. Together with the automobile industry, agribusiness and logistics, the strategic economy circular is strategic in the community. Context and theme. Context by United Nations, cumplir también con el Pacto Verde Europeo, el Circular Economy Plan, con la Estrategia Española de Economía Circular y sus planes de acción, con la Agenda 2030, con el ODS 12 y con el cambio climático. From the linear economy to the circular economy, regenerate, reducing, reuse, use, recycling and revolve. Aragon Circular Economy Strategy. What is Aragon Circular? A strategic economy in no territories, 10 compromisos y principios inspiradores, and tangibles actions. 10 compromisos: Socio-Economic Development, Environment Impacts, Eco-Dressing, Greenhouse Gas, I+D+I, Training Projects, Fields Aligned Despopulation, Business Activities, Efficiency and Sustainability y Education Context. En Aragón, en enero de 2020, se aprobó una declaración institucional por todos los agentes sociales de la Declaración Institucional de Aragón Circular, así como el resto de los grupos políticos en el Parlamento de Aragón. Objetivos: incentivación económica, crear un sector económico estratégico, una oportunidad para Aragón en el territorio, posicionamiento y medir a través de una línea de indicadores. Actions: incentivos, promoción, la especialización en la economía del territorio, visibilidad y medir y evaluación. Indicators: number of companies in the circular economy sector in Aragon, number of employers for company, number of companies to the circular economy in sector Aragon, recycling, materials, y indicadores of the strategy. En este año hemos hecho el primer first report of the Government of Aragon Indicators Circular Economy, donde tenemos 1.502 empresas, una cifra de negocio de 1.108 millones de euros y 7.923 empleos, puestos de trabajo. En formación se ha llevado a cabo, han participado 1.800 personas y el porcentaje de empleo total en Aragón sobre economía circular es el 2,67. Impulse Financing. Hemos sacado una línea de subvenciones de I+D en economía circular, donde se han presentado 36 proyectos con 68 compañías, más de 30 millones de euros y 25 puestos de trabajo. Support for Financing. The Sodia is the company of the financiation of the Government in Aragon with the support in the companies, little companies in circular economy. Training. Con la Escuela de Organización Industrial hemos impulsado el curso de experto de Circular Economy de primera edición y también formación en Digitalization and Circular Economy in the territory. Aragon Circular City. El sello de Aragón Circular está publicado en el boletín de la Comunidad Autónoma de Aragón. Recognition and visibility is to the circular economic model, the performance of good practices and actions to utilize the circularity, with the framework of an excellent management and additional skill with the compliance. Recognition objective. Two categories, enterprise and local administration. Los resultados de la primera convocatoria del 2022 se han presentado 101 solicitudes de 21 gran companies, pequeñas y medianas empresas, microempresas y 4 entidades locales. Actions, funding, training. Existe una adhesión institucional de la declaración de Aragón Circular, donde a fecha de hoy ya se han adherido, se han sumado 81 compañías basadas en los 16 principios de la Estrategia Europea de Aragón Circular. Training Action, Circular Economy Specific Program, Circular Economy is very important customer classroom y as to conference on circular economy the champion today. Proyectos europeos. Emphasise project. Emphasise project is Interreg project promote resource efficiency and eco-innovation in smart companies. Promote the transition towards a competitive circular economy. Aragón ha participado en este proyecto con 2 socios, la compañía pública Sarna y Aragón, donde se ha transferido información y se ha gestionado toda esta información con el siguiente objetivo: de llevar a cabo un paquete, una herramienta de las pequeñas y medianas empresas para transformar su modelo de trabajo en la economía circular. 10 pequeñas y medianas empresas han participado, son varios ejemplos, y hemos creado también todo el Emphasise Project Diffusion and Training by e-commerce workshop. This is the web and the good practice. Good practice Emphasise Interreg project. De proyecto Resolve. El proyecto Resolve es un proyecto también conjuntamente al Gobierno de Aragón y el CEI Aragón, donde impulsa la colaboración público-privada para aquellas empresas que quieren llevar a cabo proyectos de economía circular, buscarles esa financiación de carácter privado. La visión, unos impactos y sobre todo también la colaboración público-privada que también se ha puesto de manifiesto en esta jornada. De Aragón Circular es la página web del Gobierno donde ponemos en valor la economía circular, los principios, las acciones estratégicas, la declaración y sobre todo lo más importante, las buenas prácticas. Y this is the presentation. Thank you. Si quieres hacer alguna...
I think this is a big milestone, and I wish more regions like Aragon can make this a reality and embrace these tools, these policies, and really put it at the center of the agendas. I think this is the way forward. And from our side, as part of the Interreg Euro-MED community, we know more about Embrace. Actually, we've been working very closely with the companies which are on the ground implementing these practices, such as the ones you mentioned, like Carbonell or IC. They have been part of the Interreg Euro-MED Academy, which is something that Mercè mentioned at the beginning. This is a course that is opening on the 10th June, and basically we are providing the tools that these projects have been developing over the past years. So by joining this course, actually you can test some of these tools like the Eco Canvas that was mentioning. You can actually do the circular models, no, and really use the methodologies that have been developed. So it's a really a good way to practice it and to transfer these tools to other companies, that it's not that hard, no, as soon as you start to understand how it works. So thank you so much. I think that was a great overview of the state of the art in Aragon, and also to establish a baseline. No? I think it was good to also see how in 2020 you have like some expressions of interest, like in 2021 you open some calls, you open opportunities, and you start to see that the companies are applying, that are joining this movement, no, towards the circular economy. So I think it's a good example, and hopefully you have more in the years to come. Okay, thank you. So now we're gonna jump into the first panel discussion of the day. So we have Cristina Giner, who's gonna be moderating the session with some of the communities projects, some of the modular projects. Actually, they are the plus because they have been also extending the work and transferring the work that they've been doing over the past period. So they have very recent and tangible achievements and lessons learned that we'll be sharing with all of you. So the session is creating the societies of tomorrow, transferring circular solutions towards businesses and public authorities, which is our main target audiences. So now we're gonna do a bit of like a change of setup for the panelists to be able to sit down and feel comfortable and do it. I think there's more, right? So yeah, we're good. Okay, so welcome, Cristina. Thank you so much for being here today. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but Cristina is a freelance journalist. She's working as well as for Euronews, and we have the pleasure today to have her as moderator, guiding the discussion with the community project representatives. Please, please can join the panel. And Cristina will introduce you. Yes.
Please. Of course. Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here today moderating this panel, creating the societies of tomorrow.
Can you hear? No. Okay, so let's try to bring the volume a little bit up.
Maybe Good morning. Yeah, thank you. So it's a pleasure to be here today moderating this panel discussion, creating the societies of tomorrow, transferring circular solutions toward businesses and public authorities. And as we are well aware, we are in the framework of the EU Green Week. This year edition is focusing on the Green Deal, EU's growth strategy for resource efficient and climate neutral Europe by 2050. We already know that, and me as a journalist, we are very much used to cover news on high-level strategies and high-level policies. But I think what is very interesting here today is that we have a community of experts that for me are the doers of these policies. So the people bringing to ground these high-level strategies. They are bringing into projects, into action, into activities that have a real impact for citizens around the Euro-Mediterranean area. And I think this is one of the key issues today. So I would very much like to hear about this human dimension of the projects. I know it's complicated because we were talking about results, we are talking about, but you've been in contact with producers, with consumers, maybe with the different actors. So it'd be interesting to listen to this side. And Rincon community has been working for the last 6 years, and I think you're really planting the seed of the society of the future. So we'd like to hear a little bit more of that. So I'm going to very quickly introduce them. I'd like to introduce Ms. Emilia Rabito, is Director of the Euro-Mediterranean Center for Sustainable Development. She's a representative of the Arstoil Plus Modular Project, aiming at the reinforcement of the Mediterranean olive oil sector competitiveness, and now transferring some of the outcomes to new beneficiaries and new territories. And let me introduce all the speakers first, and then I will address the questions. So you know who is here. So we have Massimo Iannanzello, he's project manager at Terra di Siena Lab, and he will be talking about the Graspino Plus project, focusing on transferring circular solutions to public authorities and SMEs in the field of e-green public procurement, strengthening the capacity of SMEs to enter the green market, and showing public authorities how to make purchasing and investment choices compatible with sustainable development and circular economy. And also we have Mr. Maurizio D'Alfonso, head of the European projects at Federalimentare, the Italian Federation of Food Industry that represents 7,000 Italian food and beverage companies. Mr. D'Alfonso is leading the PEFMED Plus project to increase awareness about product environmental footprint in food production. And this project as well is promoting knowledge transfer to agricultural producers, clusters, and institutions. So very quickly, I'd like to start by Ms. Rabito asking, how is your project a game changer for the olive oil sector? How benefits the citizens, or how we citizens of the Euro-Mediterranean region have the benefit from this project? And also, how is your project helping to build the society of tomorrow?
Thank you. Good morning to all. Okay, you can hear me. Yes, thanks for the question. The Aristol project first and the Aristol Plus project, we managed to interpret a new regulation. It's about the health and olive oil that says that polyphenols of olive oil contribute to the protection of blood lipid from oxidative stress. It's something very difficult to understand for consumers, right? Because oxidative stress plus blood lipids. So we try to interpret this for consumers and for producers, because we try to put this into simple guidelines in order to help producers to produce a more healthy olive oil, because polyphenols, even if they have the 2% of olive oil, they are greater anti-inflammatory particles and the antioxidant so they are good for health. So what we did is to help producer to to produce in a different way, and also to put in the market a new product, because an extra virgin olive oil is not like an healthy extra virgin olive oil. We built an instrument that is called aristometron that can measure in 30 minutes the level of polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil. So producers, when we went to the olive mill and we measured the content of polyphenols of their olive oil, they were like surprised because they have been, of course, producing this product for 8 years, and it is a very difficult for them because you begin in September and then you have the product after 6-9 months. And when you go to the supermarket, what you see a liter of olive oil that can cost 3 euros. So you have 9 months of work with different climate conditions, because we know climate is changing, and then they have really little profit. So we are helping them in have more consciousness of the quality of their olive oil, and so they change also their mind in promote the health benefit of this product. So it was very nice for us to see their face when we tell them, look, this is a real good quality product. Of course, above all for those producers that are little producer, family, also companies. So a new product for a new market, and it's the Mediterranean style, because the extra virgin olive oil is the king of the Mediterranean diet. So it is good to promote it in the right way. So we try to increase their competitiveness in the market, go to the Mediterranean market, but help them also to go to other markets. And so we create a cluster of for those companies, supporting them with different actions. So for us, the side of the future is, as also someone said before, okay, consume less, but consume better. So we have to change our lifestyles and buying products that are healthier for our health, for human health. So make aware the consumers, because of course it depends on what consumers find in the supermarket. So of course more aware than consumers, but above all producers, industries, they need to put for us healthier products in the market. I don't know, for circular economy, why the olive oil is good for circular economy? It is a very natural product. It's a juice of olives. There is no industrial process. So it is already a very natural product. And in the process of olive oil, there is the possibility to use the sub-products, because the leaves, the vegetative water, they can be used in cosmetic, in the food industry, in animal industry, to feed animals. And in the water of the process, there are polyphenols, so they can be used for other use. So we think that it is a very good product, and it is the symbol of the Mediterranean style.
Thank you very much. So I think it's interesting, this idea of the producers being happy about seeing the results, because sometimes, I think it's really the human side of one project, seeing the producers, seeing the results.
The real impact, and this is very, very nice for us. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lianincello, so talking about the Graspino Plus project, what is your project here for the public administration sector, SMEs and businesses in this circular transition? And again, how does it benefit, or what impact does it have on citizens around the Mediterranean? And how do you imagine the society of tomorrow in this particular field?
Okay, I with the first question. First of all, I want to tell you that GDP is mandatory in many countries and sectors, and also green public procurement criteria are sufficient to classify this green public procurement. So what's new about our project? Our project use GBP together with life cycle cost. This give us many advantages to also to calculate, to assess the effect of our choice in terms of environment, also on the public budget. Because normally when also we prepare HPP, we have a situation in which you can have the best performance product, service, or investment, but you don't know the effect, it's positive or negative on the public budget. So this is very, very important for the public administration to know this effect. And then we have also another interesting thing with our course, because when we introduce life cycle cost, we have also a dual measurement system. The system is able to measure at the same time sustainable development in general, also circular economy with specific elements of the life cycle cost, but also the economic aspect together and at the same time. So here you can solve the famous decoupling problem between economy and environment. And if we use this systematically, we are able to solve this problem. We are able to push also the private sector, the companies towards the circular economy and sustainable development. So I think using this tool together with the GBP, we are able to find an innovative approach to green public procurement. So as regards the citizen in general and the impact on the Mediterranean people, I can tell you that we have a very flexible project, so we can apply this in many sectors, in many locations. Maybe I can give you an example about our project with the Spain of Glass. With our partner, Region Umbria, we started also a pilot project, keeping account that in this kind of project, a one-year project, that wasn't possible at the beginning to develop a pilot project. So we are very satisfied about this result. And Region Umbria is implementing this kind of pilot project. It's a project that starts trying to recover abandoned factories and for the restoration of artistic heritage after the damage caused by the recent earthquake. So it's a very particular project. We have more or less three issues. We have a reduction of self-consumption. So it's a very important thing if you want to face the problem of sustainable development and also circular economy. We have another specific characteristic of the Mediterranean area. The culture or the artistic heritage is very important for us. I'm here in Brussels, probably I can tell you this, but maybe a culture was born in the Mediterranean area, maybe in Greece. So it's important for us to develop a specific project for this aspect. And then we try also to mitigate the effect of the seismic element. So unfortunately, also earthquakes are characteristic of the Mediterranean area. So it's okay. Of course, we cannot give a personal, individual projects, but we can give solution for small communities. That's important. And okay, about the future, okay, my personal opinion, okay, we cannot see a change more immediately. We can see this as day by day, step by step. For me, the future is an evolution, not a revolution. So we have to wait because my experience at the beginning of the personal, not Crespino Plus, but Crespino, the project before, the problem was the feeling was sadness and bitterness because it's too slow the process. But then day by day we are able to see the difference, and it's like I tell you that there's a snowball effect. At the beginning it's small, and then when you arrive at the end it's the biggest impact. Okay.
Thank you. I like this idea that it's not a revolution, but an evolution, because really, I think this is it. So, as I said, we are planting the seed for tomorrow. It's not that we are going to have immediate results, as you were saying, but we're working towards a greener and more circular Euro-Mediterranean area. So, with these projects. Thank you very much. And Mr. Notarfonso. So what are the challenges, what has the MedPlus project done to improve the food system sector? And again, what impact has on citizens? And also I'd like to ask, what are the challenges that came across? Because we were talking about the producers before in the olive oil sector, but I guess there are also challenges and some barriers to overcome in these projects that also would be interesting to listen to.
Hello everybody. I am here also on behalf of the coordinator of the REVOLVE project in here, so I'm very happy also to represent all the community, all the project partners of REVOLVE. We have this big ambition to talk about environmental sustainability in the agri-food supply chain by analyzing in the former REVOLVE main project the possibility to test the official product environmental footprint methodology released at European level. So we have worked with small and medium enterprises in several European regions with a focus on Mediterranean basin. Then what is the plus now? If it is because we have elaborated a lot of tools and results. So these predictive tools, how to evaluate the environmental performances of traditional food products, not only from the environmental point of view, but also by mixing with new additional indicators from the socio-economic part, starting from the lesson learned in the Mediterranean countries. We have exported this philosophy, what is the benefit from REVOLVE Plus, to the Adriatic Basin, so working with Croatia country, Montenegro country, and also Bosnia and Herzegovina. So we did this activity in a very short period because of the peculiarity, the format of this modular project. We have taken into account the most interesting and promising tools from REVOLVE, and we did this work with this with three levels of stakeholders. So it is also the challenge, speaking about the challenge, how to deal with different stakeholders from the consumer perspective, from the citizen perspective. For our project, citizen means consumers, consumer of the present day, but also more consumers. So we would like to live, because we are ending this activity at the end of this month, at the end of June. We would like to live for the consumers for tomorrow new products, but not new processed products, but products with a new dimension from their mitigation of environmental performance. To place on the market agri-food products with a lower environmental impact from a different perspective. But we would like also, and this is another challenge, to take also a level of collaboration with public stakeholders, because we are doing now a severe, intensive campaign of knowledge transfer and capacity building with public administration. We are going next week, for example, in Podgorica to sign a protocol of cooperation between public administration and investment plus representatives, and also memorandum of understanding between local producers or local cluster of producers with our project. So we are trying to take the three different perspectives and with a clear objective to consent to the consumers to find on the market, as I said before, products with a lower environmental impacts, but also that we also explain that also producers needs to have a stable and a clear regulatory framework to have an harmonization of the possible labeling to use and to place on the products, because there is a huge proliferation of environmental labeling. So it is an issue not only for the consumers, but please remind that also companies needs harmonization and clear rules, because we are also to be competitive not only in Europe but also in other countries worldwide.
This was one of my questions. Like consumers, how do we know that is the product footprint, the environmental footprint? How do we know if I go to the market?
Yes, it is also part of the future, because we saw the presentation of the DGM that maybe after summer we will have also a legislative proposal on that. So we are very not curious, but we are paying attention to what will happen. And for sure, it is difficult also to share a common position, but for sure, from the consumer perspective, we need as consumers to scout on the label of our products or on pack, front of pack, behind, or by maybe to digital means, digital labeling, maybe via barcode, the features of our products, in order to have to be informed, to make healthier choice, but also to make informed choice and to choose really what we have to buy on the market.
Labeling is a very big issue for the market, and to recognize the product with a lot of science and that are in the product. As Aristotle, with this Aristotle Plus, we did a living lab with different kinds of stakeholders and actors in order to co-design a color for the bottle, in order to recognize better who is part of the Aristotle network. And I would like to inform you that we launched on Monday online competition, because with the partners that were in this meeting from Spain, Italy, Montenegro, and Greece, we designed 3 different colors that you can vote online. So please do it. If you go to aristotle.eu, and you can choose the color that you like best, and we will use also for promoting this healthy olive oil in the Mediterranean market.
Okay. I don't know if you want to talk very quickly also about the challenges that you came across with your project.
The challenges were, of course, those that at the beginning, it was hard to involve all the actors of the quadruplets. I mean, private companies, of course, but also public sector, the research, and the citizens. The more challenges were the public sector and also sometimes producers, that they were a little bit, of course, trying to understand, but I'm already a producer, I know how to do it, why are you coming here and telling me what to do? But of course, in this process, there are a lot of things that you can improve, that you can ameliorate, there are technologies. So it is important that there is a direct link between university, because they have the technology to transfer to companies. Of course, they often dialogue with big companies, but it is important to transfer this technology also to the medium, the small sized enterprises, because industries, they have already contact with the research, and for the smaller ones it is a challenge. So also this link between university and the small companies, it was a very, very good thing of our project.
And just one more question, I know this was not supposed, but what are the lessons learned? And if you started over again, what would you change? I mean, because we also learn from failure, I wouldn't say failure, but from, in a way, so what did you learn?
In my opinion, what we could do better, let's say, it is the dialogue with the European groups, European stakeholders. I mean, okay, we did a lot of work, we did good, but of course there is the dialogue should be also, first someone talked about mainstreaming. So the mainstream project is really important, and in order to bring our issues to a level that is higher, and also to make aware the European administrators. So we need to have a more efficient dialogue with those persons. So I think that now we are in Brussels, so we can take the chance. But of course, it is a longer process, and we are. I think we can do it in the future, even if the project will end. But we think that we can bring our experience for future projects, and to speak with the European policymakers and tell also what were our results and our challenges.
I don't want to, if you want to add something.
Yes, I would say that everything went well, but maybe if we have to have much more time to perform our activity, maybe it's my opinion, would be integrating earlier also our regional and local policymakers to have a better integration of the results, the outputs of our project, REVOLVE Plus, to have a mutual exchange with them to revise, update, integrate the policies with some new measures to have a kind of after plan after the end of the project. So to have this regional municipalities in their S3, for example, measures that could implement and continue the good process we have done within these two projects. So a better dialogue with local policymakers.
Just a last question, and then I will go on with other non-active modular projects. And what is the way forward now for your projects? because you're finalizing this phase, but just very quickly, so we understand also what is happening.
For what concerns us, we are very happy also to have the chance to have the plus phase. We are looking to the next programming phase. We are discussing it in our final conference in Split. We will have a specific brainstorming with the partnership and other potential collaborators, because we would like to continue working on not only on F, but in general on environmental footprinting for the food supply chain.
All of you.
Okay. For the future, about our project, we have to finish the project and the end is now at the end of June, but we have this pilot project, so we'll continue with the preparation of a real tender with a specific solution for abandoned tourist and artistic heritage. So it's not finished, but this is capitalization, so that has to continue after the end of the project. And then we hope to have other project, other possibilities to prepare, to transform best practice in normal routine. This is very important because this is the catalyzation. Because we can do a very nice thing, but you have to transform this thing not for one person, one project, one community, but to give to all people or communities the opportunity to use your tools, your methodologies, and so on, to try to develop to reach our objective towards circular economy and sustainable development.
We, as I told you before, we built this cluster of companies. So our intention, the intention of partner is to continue supporting companies in this process of promoting healthy olive oil. Companies can register in a platform that is aristotle.eu and send to us their analysis of polyphenols, or they can ask us to do the cluster analysis and promote their products in this platform. So for us, it will be our commitment to continue to promote this platform and give also them the support for going to other markets, as I said. We have a conference in Rome next 23rd of June. So I invite all, if you are there, to come, and there we will speak about our results and also present some of the companies that are already part of our network.
Thank you very much. I'd like to address very quickly, I know there are some non-active projects that are attending this event. And I'd like to address them a question very quickly. They have 2 minutes to answer. But if we bring met Mr. Patrick Relenos, if you can briefly explain what is your project building, how is your project building the society of tomorrow?
Yes, thank you. Yes, as part of REVOLVE, we are very pleased to be part of this growth community. We have been working on one aspect of circular economy related to industry and within industry manufacturing to promote a new way to produce a product and to use energy in this sector. And based on this, on the project, we have been able to have pilot cases. Including recycling, new innovative recycling approach for recycling, connecting different end markets, renewable energy, automotive, construction, and to develop some cross-connection in the way to deal with waste and reuse of material, for instance. And we have been pleased to have such a thanks to such a project to organize this community of innovation in the field of green manufacturing, and that is moving up. We have new projects in the pipe on textile. The European Commission mentioned earlier the main challenges of plastics, textile, and this is one of the topics we are tackling these days.
So you're mainly working with manufacturers and businesses?
Yes.
Okay.
The project has been involving organization in France, in Spain, in Italy, Croatia, Slovenia, and Greece.
I don't know if you could very briefly give us an example of an industry that you're working with.
Yes, I can complete what the example I mentioned related to production of product for automotive sectors, and we bridge it to other businesses in the field of production of windmills and renewable energy systems to develop some cross links and cross connection in terms of technology, in terms of use of feedstock, and also to deal together in the waste management. We have developed a platform for this purpose, taking benefit of the coming digital technologies and as an enabler for developing some innovative solution for this purpose of circular economy on a global scope.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have another project, Create Innovation, and we have Mr. Victor Soria, who's going to briefly explain us about the project.
Go there or?
Maybe nicer.
Yeah. Well, I'm Victor from the Chamber. We work in Green Innovation, and Green Innovation is about creativity. And as you all know, we're facing new problems and new challenges. And we thought that we cannot use the old solutions for those new problems. So we decided to provide SMEs, especially rural SMEs, with new techniques and oriented towards and using creativity. So we developed some kind of workshops with individually with SMEs from rural areas, and we provide them with new techniques, with involving creativity and also involving people from the university, students, professors, and also experts on sustainability. And we work with them with their problems, with their challenges they were facing, and that's what we did mainly. So using creativity to offer them this opportunity to stop from the daily work, think on their challenges, on their problems they are facing, in order to come up with new, brilliant ideas. And it was very impressive to see how a crazy idea at the beginning of the day, little by little, was becoming more and more realistic. And at the end of the day, we ended with an action plan for those SMEs so that they could implement the solutions that came up in there. And now it comes to my mind, SME we had there in Barcelona. They are they were brought up in a fisherman village, and they saw that when they went to the sea, more and more they were collecting more plastics from the sea. So they thought, okay, maybe we should do something with that plastic, and they started creating swimsuits. And they developed their full collection of swimsuits from the plastic collected from the sea. Yeah, I was very impressed that they are growing little by little. They're growing, and it's really, really impressive.
Oh, this is great. I should know that to cover it for your news because it's very interesting. Great, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have Ms. Tanya Sofnik from Kamar project. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, Kamar ended in 2019, and 3 months later we had the pandemic and lockdown. And Kamar is all about 0 kilometer quality agro food. e-commerce platforms. So we had only 3 months to go from pilot to actual testing because we were connecting local producers, small local producers, through this e-commerce to our customers in the region. We developed 4 platforms in 4 MED countries, and like I said, we had like 3 months from actual pilot to fully operational e-commerce platform. So it was a great success because local producers had this lockdown state of business, and this e-commerce platform actually helped them grow locally and I can say regionally, nationally, because they had this platform for to produce, to actually sell their products, because they are all small producers. They don't have marketing, they don't have packaging, they don't have labeling in the manners that mass retail products. So hopefully we help them, and environmentally, I think we established this 0 kilometer. Actually, we help reduce this environmental footprint and reduce this CO emissions. And this small packaging and sustainable packaging, recycled packaging, actually also helped in the national level.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. Interesting. And then I think we already heard about Embrace, but I don't know, Mr. Marco Galanti. No? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sorry.
Not Marco Galanti, I'm Roberto Sandrini. I was the project manager of the Embrace. Thanks so much, because somebody mentioned before the project. When we started talking about the eco-innovation, it was 2016, and all SMEs were much more into digitalization. It was the key word of the past program, and it was something strange to talk about eco-innovation. We focus on a couple of sectors that, from our point of view, are quite crucial for the ecological transition. That is agro, food, and wine. And we involved a couple of hundreds of SMEs from Portugal, Spain, Sarga was one of them, Aragon, Valencia, France, Italy, of course, I'm coming from there, Italy, Slovenia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Greece. What we did with these companies? We developed a new model of business model canvas. We call it Eco Business Model Canvas. And this kind of model was included in one toolkit with training activities to enhance the capability of the entrepreneurs to implement such processes. For example, we pushed the link between recovery or recycling and energy production or energy saving. Or we encourage the use of biopesticide instead of pesticide. We try to identify so-called green investments. You know that many times we are giving money, but we don't ask what will happen to that money. So we try to encourage the link between the entrepreneurs, the investors, under the same umbrella of the circularity. So this is what we have done. You know that
the pandemic impacted. So the last step was to establish a network of clusters. From our point of view, the final goal of Embrace is to establish permanent relationship between or among a cluster that I would like to have the same mission. I mean, to trigger the circularity into the winery and the agro-food sector. That's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation. So I'm going very quickly to take the words of Mr. Cregenzán, who said this is.
Question?
Yeah.
So, hi, I'm Dimitri Roshulis. I represent Dynamic Vision. We are partners in the Arizona project. I have a question for all the partners, okay? And then anyone who could answer would be great. So, in the last period, we have been implementing all of our projects during this pandemic. This pandemic for sure had the negative effects, you know. We are very happy to be here in presence. But I'm pretty sure that had also some positive effects, like we heard from the Camargue. The effect was that the producers had a platform that they didn't have before. So it was by chance that something was created and they used it during the pandemic. Can all the participants say what the positive effect of this pandemic was for their project?
I need to answer. I think this is very interesting, really interesting, because it's not all
The first thing in my mind is is okay about also the way of interact with the other people and the other partners. So also a lot of online meetings. So few meeting in presence. So I think this is one of the most important effect on on positive effect. If I mean, you consider pollution or environmental issues. So I think also the way to work also in our organization has changed under this kind of view. So this is the first thing in my mind about the change but I can see also that the feeling is also not only in my organization, but also in other organization companies. It's changed the way to interact with the other person. So here we can save a lot of, we can reduce a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. So if you want to see this in terms of environment. So this is my opinion. So it changes the way of interact with other people.
Yes, in the Aristotle project we did a lot of training, info days in presence, and it was really nice to have the contact. With the pandemic and with this Aristotle Plus, we had to do it online. And at the first moment it was really challenging because to bring a producer, it's not easy to make him participate in online meetings. Also the Living Lab. For the Living Lab was good because usually we did the Living Lab locally, but we could do the Living Lab at national level because when you do it in in Italian, so a lot of people can participate even if they are not of the region where you are. So this was really a positive impact of the online meetings, and so the project can be spread also in other regions. But it was really challenging, also because our activities were in contact with persons, and we had the tools also to show, to measure the olive oil, and we couldn't do it in reality. So for us, it had a positive but also a negative impact.
For us, we were outstanding because in 2020 we were not traveling because we were already finishing our activities. And last year, starting June 2021, we released in an ordinary way our activities, except the critical period from December to February 2021 and the beginning of this year. But we were mainly focusing on the online trading, on the trading space. But starting from March, we did an intensive presence activity as well, both in the giver partners and also the receivers partner. So we were lucky for that.
I don't know if one of the other projects wants to.
I'm Rosana Garcia from Agapa in Spain, and I participated in the railways project. And well, I don't know, maybe. So, I think the pandemic has positively influenced. I don't know if hello, it's a partner from railways also. And I think it has very much influenced in the importance to the agri-food sector, the importance it really deserves, because I think all of us has very much value that we eat every day, 3 times a week, and the food sector hasn't stopped during the pandemic. It has increased its activity. And besides all that, I think nowadays digitalization is much more in the head of farmers and also in the agri-industry. And I think the pandemic, with all the examples we mentioned of digital tools that we all have to use, and it has very much accelerated this process. So that's
I would also like to make a comment about this. I believe that all crises have an impact. Okay? In these cases, the impact of the crisis, this pandemic, either now is the war, is the response. We are all working on European funded projects. Okay, I believe the response from the European Commission has given us more opportunities. I mean, the funding now is limited. The access to the funding for the SMEs that we are working on has been improved. And of course, now for the next programming period, we can start working on a different level, because now the banks are more open to green projects. We have seen, for example, in the food industry now, that due to shortages of food, we are coming back to what we were speaking about 7 years back. So I believe that we have learned a lot and we have evolved a lot. Exactly as you said before. So thank you.
We have time to take more questions if someone else has any questions. Or we, yeah.
Just because we have time, I may ask also the general question. I was wondering, for both the active and non-active projects, if you think once you implement your strategy and tools, if they last, maybe this is more for the non-active, like once you have impacted there during for 2 or 3 years, then SMEs and public authorities, do you think they go on and have this under their routine, or then if nobody's supporting them, then this disappears in that sense, or which is your feeling in that sense? Do you think we are creating a trend or like a routine, or it's something that it really needs like support along the years at least, so it lasts? Maybe, yeah. It's also very general, and yeah. So.
this is always an issue when you do a project that has an end. And of course, the commitment of the public authorities during the project has been very, very active. And we ask them, of course, to continue the commitment after the project ends, but that's not easy. And but if you have created a network of private companies that believe in the project and in the results of the project, they will push to the public sector to in order to for them to create new opportunities in that sector, in that issue. So I think that if you, as a project, you have done a good job, then is an automatic actions in order to continue the work.
We did, when we wrote this project, the last project, we have designed the project and it was tailored to live after the end of the merchant. So we have designed our trainers and capacity building activities to let now the receiver partners to have all the kit of instruments to continue their work autonomously because they have their experience and profiles. And the ratification of memorandum of understanding and protocol of cooperation now on May and June is specifically for to have this multi-annual programming phase after the end of the project. So we designed a specific afterlife as we did in the life programs usually, also for this kind of modular project.
Thank you. So, after 6 years working, all these projects not only have planted a seed, but also watered and fertilized the Euro-Mediterranean region. So we hope it continues growing for a greener and more circular future. And thank you very much for your attention. I think we have a coffee break now.
for all of us to get to know each other and also share some ideas. So I'm gonna introduce Michael from CityDot, who will explain us what we will have to do in the next hours.
Thanks very much, Patricia. Thank you. Great to be joining you, and really happy to hear about all these experiences from all these years of projects. I'm Michael Creek from CityDot, based here in Brussels, and together with my colleague Mercè Martinetto, we're going to be guiding you through this participatory activity to look at the biggest challenges that we face. We've heard a lot of experiences from across all these years of projects, and it's very clear that there is a wealth of experience and expertise in the room. But the work doesn't finish just because the projects are over. We are all still tackling these same challenges, and some of them very different from the challenges we faced back in the beginning when these projects started up. So we want to make the most of this expertise in the room and all this experience to fuel our work now on the challenges that we're currently facing, bringing stakeholders together on the circular economy. So this is the idea behind our participatory session today. And it's a real pleasure. Normally I would say, please switch your video on and unmute your microphones. So it's a real pleasure to say instead, please close your laptops and put your phones away because we'll be working together in this session. So the question that we're going to be asking ourselves is, what is the biggest challenge you face in your work bringing together public authorities, businesses, and other stakeholders on circular economy issues? We're going to be playing a game to score those challenges to find out what are the biggest common challenges as a group we're all still facing. And there'll be a chance to regroup around these common challenges, to share ideas, to discuss, and to make some recommendations on how we can best tackle them as a community. But first, I want to warm us up a little bit, also to check a bit who's in the room. And my first question to you, just to have a show of hands, is how many people have had more than one coffee this morning already? Double espresso also counts. As, okay, okay, more than two? Or more than three? Okay, we're expecting some high levels of participation. I had a feeling there was a Mediterranean flavor. I don't want to make any generalizations about the coffee consumption. Yes and no. How many of you are happy to be back to in-person events? Yes, overwhelming majority, good to know. And I'm curious to know as well, in your work, how do you consider your profile or your organization's profile? So for example, business and industry, civil society, public authority, maybe something else, academia. Maybe a show of hands to say if you represent public authority. Yeah, a few in the room, great. Civil society. Yeah, a handful, great. Business and industry. Yeah, well, it's quite evenly split of something else. Academia, great. Oh, sorry. Academia? Great. Oh, yeah, it's a relatively even mix. Somebody doesn't feel represented? We covered it. Great. Ah! Great. There's a real mix in the room. That's great. So let's have a look together to the challenges that we all face. So we're all from different backgrounds. We have different profiles. Lots of us from different regions of Europe. And we're all working on slightly different aspects of circular economy and stakeholder engagement. But I think a common thread through most of the work we're doing is about bringing together business and industry, public authorities, civil society, academia, and other stakeholders to tackle these challenges around circular economy. But if I had to ask you, what is the one biggest challenge you face that you would like to address here in the room? What would it be? We're going to hand out some challenge cards, and you will have 2 minutes to reflect a bit and think about what is your one biggest challenge that you're facing at the moment. Let's already give those cards out as you're sitting there, and I want you to, you should have pencils. If you need a pen, let us know, we can give those as well. To think about the challenge you face. It should be a single challenge, so please don't write all the problems, an essay about the problems you're currently facing, and please summarize it in a single sentence. So if you had to write a headline for your challenge, what would it be? It could be something you face as an individual, or it could be a challenge that your organization is facing, but it needs to be about bringing people together to tackle circular economy issues. And also, it doesn't have to be something you're an expert about. In fact, it's the challenge you're facing, so maybe you're not an expert at all on this, this challenge. That's even better. That means we have a chance to share it with the group and get some feedback. All right, so the challenges are coming around. And please write nice and big in the middle of your card so that it's easy to read. And we can have the last question.